The iCloud sync answer that sounds great, but fails the senior interviewer. Most candidates nail conflict resolution and still get rejected because the moment Apple's senior interviewer actually evaluates you is when you have to draw the encryption boundary and explain what the sync server is and is not allowed to see. Design an iCloud sync system for a new data type. Handle offline first behavior, conflict resolution across devices, and privacy constraints. At Apple, privacy by design means privacy is an architectural constraint from line 1, not a feature bolted on after the sync protocol is already drawn. What the senior interviewer is actually listening for is whether you define the encryption boundary before you pick a conflict resolution strategy, or whether you never define it at all. Here is how most candidates answer this question. Technically fluent, structured, and missing the one thing Apple actually evaluates.
I'd start with an offline first model using a local SQLite store with a dirty flag and a vector clock for versioning. On Reconnect, the client pushes deltas to a CloudKit backend, which runs a last write wins merge using the vector clock timestamps. For conflicts where two devices edited the same record offline, I'd fall back to a three-way merge and surface a prompt to the user if the merge fails. For privacy, I'd make sure data is encrypted in transit with TLS and at rest on the server side. The whole flow would use background sync with exponential backoff to protect battery.
No encryption boundary drawn. What does Apple's server actually see? Privacy addressed as transport layer only? TLS is not a privacy architecture. Conflict resolution detailed but privacy architecture entirely missing. Candidate never differentiates CloudKit standard versus end-to-end encrypted zones. Here is what I am writing in the debrief right now. Item 1. Encryption boundary never defined. Server visibility assumption left implicit throughout. Item 2. Privacy treated as transport concern only. TLS cited. End-to-end architecture absent. Item 3. No differentiation between standard CloudKit zones and end-to-end encrypted zones. Item 4. Conflict resolution depth strong, but built on an unexamined privacy foundation. Verdict: does not demonstrate privacy by design. Same question, same data type. Listen to where this candidate starts before drawing a single architecture box.
Before I touch conflict resolution, I need to define the privacy boundary, specifically what Apple's sync infrastructure is allowed to see. For this data type, I'd use a CloudKit end-to-end encrypted zone, meaning the server stores opaque ciphertext and cannot read record content. That constraint then drives the conflict resolution choice. I can't do server-side merge, so I push three-way merge entirely onto the client using local version vectors. On Reconnect, the client downloads encrypted deltas, decrypts locally, runs the merge, and re-encrypts before any write back. For offline first, the local store is the source of truth. Dirty records queue until connectivity returns, with delta sync and zip compression to protect battery on cellular. In testing, delta sync plus client-side merge cut sync payload size by roughly 60% versus full record pushes.
Encryption boundary named explicitly before conflict strategy chosen. Correctly distinguishes E2E encrypted CloudKit zone from standard zone. Privacy constraint used to derive architecture, not appended to it. Client-side merge justified by privacy model, not just preference. Notice what changed. Privacy didn't appear at the end. It determined everything that came after it. Item 1. Defined server visibility boundary first. End-to-end encrypted zone named unprompted. Item 2. Privacy model correctly derived conflict resolution location, client, not server. Item 3. CloudKit zone type distinction shows real iCloud architecture knowledge, not generic patterns. Item 4. Delta sync and battery trade-offs addressed. 60% payload reduction cited. Verdict, strong signal, clear higher. Before your loop, run your answer through these three questions. 1. Have I stated explicitly what Apple's sync server is allowed to see. If not, your privacy architecture doesn't exist. It's just TLS. 2. Does my conflict resolution strategy follow from my privacy model? If you chose server-side merge, you gave up end-to-end encryption without knowing it. 3. Can I name which CloudKit zone type I'm using and why? Generic CloudKit backend answers signal you've never studied Apple's actual sync architecture. If you can't answer all three before you pick a conflict resolution strategy, you haven't started the privacy by design question yet. You've been answering a different one. How do your real stories score? Get a personalized report scored against the interview rubric Apple uses for your role. Head to interview101.com and find out before your loop does.